Well, hello there. It's another edition of Paul Mash TV for you. We're glad that you could join us again today. Got another great interview coming up for you shortly, but don't forget about that subscribe button down there. And anytime a new episode comes your way, you'll be notified. And leave a comment on the comment section if you'd like. We'd love to hear from you there. And if you're on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Paul Mash TV. And feel free to follow us there, comment on the things you see, even send us an inbox. We'd love to hear from you there. And you can email us, PaulMashTV, all one word, at gmail.com. And if you're a band or a solo artist that's watching this and you want to be part of the show, email us and we'll show you how to do that. But if you're also a fan, just email us and we'll get back to you. And all this will be recapped at the closing credits at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. From Maple Ridge, British Columbia, Canada today, we have Bruce Coughlan. He's a really awesome artist, and I think you're really going to like him. So we'll get to that in just a second, but first here's a quick word from Galtar, the guitar made specifically for a woman. So don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
Ready in 5.
Darling, when nothing else seems to match up. Galtar, the musical apparel that fits any outfit. Galtar, bringing heaven to earth, one gal at a time. GaltarHeaven.com.
Okay, we're back, and with us from Maple Ridge, British Columbia, we have Bruce Coughlan with us today. Thanks for joining us, Bruce.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure.
We're glad to have you here today. Why don't you start off by telling everybody about how it all got started for you as far as being an artist? Maybe you always wanted to be one since you were a little boy. Maybe it goes deeper than that. Tell us in your own words.
It goes pretty deep. It goes to the point where my dad took me to see the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Macon. I was 6 years old. That would have been 1967. And about 5 seats back from the front row, they bounded on the stage and belted out, 3 or 4 Irish rebel songs. And then they started telling stories and relating a lot of information. I just knew in a heartbeat, that's how I wanted to spend my life. And it was enforced by my dad, who got me backstage to actually meet them. They're legendary in Celtic music, and to have met them, is actually a very high honor. And so my life has always been. I always knew that I would be a balladeer, and I've studied traditional music. I've been, I've toured all over the UK, playing music, engaging, immersing in the music culture.
Well, that sounds like a great story, and I'm glad that you found music as your as you're living, and hopefully got many years ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, as far as the living goes, well, it's got peaks and valleys, as the arts tend to do, but it always keeps you on your toes. And if you approach life as art, hopefully, knock on wood, it all pays off in a life well spent.
Okay. Well, tell us about some. I think you already mentioned one of them, though. But were there any other, artists that you grew up with that helped influence you?
Well, a few people I even contact today. In elementary school, local blues performer Jim Burns. He's somewhat of a legend. He's also quite a popular actor, and he came to our school. I had blues music in grade 6, and it just kind of blew my mind. The sound of a Hammond organ, and it was, wow, this is so very cool. And if I remember right, The guys were even smoking on stage in an elementary school. But that was not uncommon in the day.
Mm.
So, yeah, I'm still in touch with Jim. It's his birthday today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a lovely gentleman, and yeah, just to hear live music for the very first time, yeah, of that type. I like all styles of music, and I like to engage in a number of different styles.
Well,
So,
what about the popular bands? You know, the mainstream bands. Were there any ones that influenced you there as well?
well, in back in those days, it was the British invasion. The Beatles were very influential on my whole perception of music, which is great because there's such a broad swath of music that they created. It was a real renaissance if you think of the state of country pop music in say 1964 when they kind of entered the mainstream, and by 1970, by the time they called it quits, the how they had changed, drastically changed, and all the influences that came into it. Before that, country musicians were country musicians. They didn't play with other musicians. Well, that all changed with the Beatles. They started mixing genres. They'd have classical influences thrown in with country or folk influences. They weren't tied, and then they created music that was totally original.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really have much to holding it together as far as standard of any kind. So very influential as far as what was possible with music.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, besides the Beatles, obviously the British invasion you're talking about, there was the Stones, and then of
Oh
course
yeah,
Herman's Hermits. They were another great one. And
oh yeah. Freddie and the Dreamers. I had a sister who was a few years older, and she collected the 45s. So I had access to those in a little 45 player. I was in heaven.
mm. Well, tell everybody how we can get your music. Is it on all streaming platforms? Can you get physical copies? And where can we find you on social media? You know, tell us all that stuff.
Okay, well, you just Coughlan, Coughlan. Um, I prefer if you purchase my tune, like to purchase the downloads through Bandcamp.
Hmm.
You can find me under the handle Songsmith, which is also uh, my website, songsmith.ca. CA being the handle for Canadian websites. So songsmith.ca, that's how you find me online. And as you said, everything from iTunes, Spotify, it's all there.
Okay. All right. Well, go get Bruce Coughlin's, you know, music. Go into those streaming sites and follow him on social media there, and especially go to
Yeah.
our website, and everything is there as well. And I know that he would love you for that. So hope you'll do that for us. And where
Yes, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, all those little free things you can do to help an artist out.
Yes, exactly. So I hope you all will do that for Bruce, and I know he would love you for that. We're getting
Absolutely.
ready to watch this video now. It's called Lean Times. Tell us a little bit about that. I'm sure it's self-explanatory, but maybe there's a deeper story to that. But anyway, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I spent time in Nashville with my band about 10 years ago. We were managed out of there and spent a lot of time in the South, and it was very influential. Everywhere I go, I kind of collect the the nuance of the music as part of who I try and express myself within that genre or within those nuances, and so 3 years in the South was very influential. Again, it was a beautiful way to spend time. Um, and then the face of the music industry, of course, changed. We went from a predictable cycle of you create an album, you spend 2 or 3 years touring it, selling copies to make the money back to make your next album. Well, with streaming platforms, that all changed. And so we were forced to to basically resign our feelings in the South, I came home licking my wounds, so to speak, and just grabbed any old, under some financial duress, I just grabbed any old gig I could find. And some of the corners that I found music had a power that I didn't realize had existed before. See, until I was 50, I thought music was all about me.
Hmm.
And a few humbling experiences later, and you realize that music has power far beyond mere mortal expression. And that I was a vessel. It was humbling and at the same time empowering to know that I could be of comfort to people in hospice, that I could connect with people in that were experiencing dementia, severe dementia. I could engage with them, and their senses would clear. Music had the power to bring them into the moment. If you played a song from 1965, their senses would return. Their eyes would clear, and they'd be singing along. They knew the words. It was amazing. People who just moments before had been bumping into walls.
Mm.
So music did have that power, and Lean Times to me was also about a generation of people who grew up in communities. Today, I think we miss a lot of that. We're in a global society, and many of us living in cities, and you don't meet somebody's you don't make eye contact on the street. You don't say hi to strangers if you're waiting at a bus stop. That sort of community has sort of drifted, but we still have generations who grew up as the backbone of those generations. A lot of them now are feeling, those survivors are feeling dejected. They're feeling perhaps a disconnect with society, with friends and family. This song was created as a way to remind people to reach out. If you feel there's somebody in your life, somebody you know, maybe an old friend who's not doing too well, who may be lonesome, maybe depressed, take 5 minutes out of your day, drop them a message, phone them. Whatever it takes, just that small gesture can make the world a difference in people who built the societies that we grew up in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, and I hope everybody out there is listening and do what he says. Take 5 minutes out of your day to help someone, because they would really do need it, and I know they would appreciate you for that.
And they'd have done it for you.
Well, I appreciate that too. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for right now, Bruce. But one, thank you so much for being on the show. Anytime you have something new, maybe you can come back on the show and we'll plug that for you.
Well, I do tend to keep rather busy, so that's not outside the realm of possibility.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get right to the song, and we'll start that right now. So here it is.
And a little song called "Lean Times." Such a long time, I hope you're doing well. Me, I guess I'm doing fine. Some days it's hard to tell. Times I feel my life is passing me by, and I feel like letting go. I don't know why, but in the meantime, you could lean on me. When your world is troubled, I'd be as near as I can be. And when it gets so hard, I'll be strong as an oak tree. When the lean times come, you could lean on me. In the lean time, do you ever feel like you're losing your mind? Some long remembered sorrow that you can't leave behind. Living in memories of lost and lonely days. Times when it feels like life is slipping away. But in the meantime, you could lean on me. When your world is troubled, I'd be as near as I can be. And when it gets so hard, I'll be strong as an oak tree. When the lean times come, you could lean on me. In the lean time. Yes, it's sure been good to see you. I wish you all the best. How I'll keep on keeping on seems it's anybody's guess. These days I feel like I've got nothing left to say. Just turning over pages, counting down days. But in the meantime, you could lean on me. When your world is troubled, I'd be as near as I can be. And when it gets so hard, I'll be strong as an oak tree. When the lean times come, you could lean on me. Oh, when the lean times come, yes, you could lean on me. When the lean times come, you could lean on me. In the lean times, oh, oh, oh. You could lean on me. You just call my name, just call my name. In the lean times. Thank you so much.